Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing Alan Wake on the PC on Nightmare difficulty, and this is my guide for the aforementioned title, played on the aforementioned difficulty. So we are currently on episode 6.1. It is entitled Departure on the Road to Cauldron Lake. So we have a flashback New York scene here where we're picking up some painkillers and putting on his sunglasses, and then we'll be back to where we usually are, but in the daylight. So I put in a crossfade over here in a moment after we talk to the wife and do a little investigating of the apartment. But there was, earlier in the guide, there was a similar section like this that I left out of the guide. So I could have done it in the same vein again, but I decided to leave it in this time. So you can choose to watch the whole program here, I suppose, if you like, but I do know that it transpires once his wife comes home. So I was doing a little search for this, and obviously it wasn't for any help or anything. I'm not even sure what it was. I think sometimes when I'm on my phone on YouTube, it just says like recommended videos or suggested videos, and of course the good old Rad Brad had a video that was recommended, so I clicked on it. And whenever I click on one of his videos, it just feels like, and by the way, I don't subscribe to him. I would never subscribe to somebody like that, because like, what's the point? He doesn't make walkthroughs, and walkthroughs are what I usually like to watch. But whenever I get on one of his videos, I get the feeling like he just tries to convey like, oh, I'm doing this all for you guys. It's, it's such a strain over here, but I'm working on it. I'm doing it for you guys. Please like my videos. And it's just the wrong kind of mentality to have on a video, I think. It's just like, yeah, sure, man, you're doing it for everybody, but how much fucking money are you making? You're making a shit ton of money. Just do the videos. You don't need to ask for likes. Just do your damn videos. We know why you're making the videos. You're not making them because you're staying up all night and you're you really feel like you owe these people videos. It's just it just kind of disgusts me. And he's probably, like I've said a couple of other times on my guides, he's probably the guy that least bothers me. It's just that kind of bothers me. Just the fact that I just get a vibe from him, a bad vibe. I try not to say like, I stayed up all night, I'm doing this for you guys, it's such a strain, that sort of thing. So I don't know how I come off sometimes, but I know I don't come off like that. But anyway, we're doing our Grand Theft Auto thing a little bit in this game. It is a nice variety. If Arkham Knight had the same proportion of car sequences as this game does have car sequences, I think it would have been a much better game. And you'll have to forgive me a little bit because I am a little sick. I apologize for being vulgar about this, but I guess there's no other way to say it. I'm a human being. I threw up a few times. I'm not sure why. I think it's the stress of all this stuff coming to a culmination. I've got a lot of bills. I haven't been able to sleep too much. And it's not because I'm out there making guides for everybody and doing it because, it's all for you guys. And, sort of in the Rad Brad vein that I was mentioning. But just a lot of stress. And like I was saying in the previous video, if you don't want to donate, you don't have to. I don't want to be taking food out of people's mouths or gas out of people's engines of their cars. It's just that if you've got a little extra to spare, I'd really appreciate it. And I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm just sick. I'm not sure why I'm sick. I do think it's stress related though, and it's not all about money. It's just other factors too. But sometimes when there is enough money, the stress does go away. So anything. I mean, if you could in any way help the channel. It doesn't have to be about money. Money is usually the easiest thing, though. You know, you just send a donation via PayPal, or if you ever want to donate equipment to the channel, anything to help it out. Because let's face it, I've been here. You know, I'm not trying to sound like the Rad Brad, but I have been here since I think 2012, helping you guys out, and it was always to help people out. You know, I think if I had finished all of my studies, like my advanced courses in college, I could have been a pretty good teacher. And it's still not out the window because I'm pretty young. But I like to, I think the word is disseminate knowledge. I like to pass knowledge on. And I think that's what this channel has always been about. Passing knowledge on, finding information, passing it along to you guys. And it's just come to a head. I think some phases of people's lives are just worse than others about money. You know, sometimes money is just not an issue, sometimes it is, and these days it really is an issue. And some of the this part's hard. Some of the inanimate object fights in this game are some of the harder ones you face. But just always survey around. The camera is so slow, it's just ridiculous. But just shine the light on everything you possibly can. You do have some flares here. This is just sort of an inanimate object gauntlet, if you will. It's pretty threatening because you have that deer at the very end of the bridge. You really don't know what it's all about. We will be facing, I think it's some sort of a crane coming up at the end of this. Sort of a boss battle, if you will. But it's not much of one, but it still is. So I'm not going to say anything more about the donations. I'm not sure how that other video went over with people, the previous video. I do know that it's a touchy subject, but it's not something that I shy away from because, personally speaking, you know, even if I am a little short of money, I still want to never sound like I'm begging. I want it to sound more of just, you know, it's an honest to goodness fundraiser, you know, like a fund drive, just to see where we're at with people. And anyway, so that's that. I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound badly, and the more I go on about it, the worse it will be anyway. So let's just focus on the video now because this part is rather difficult. So you want to go as slowly as you possibly can up here and set down flares. I do not think that the flashbangs help you because I think those are reserved for the humans in this game, if you want to call them that. But you know what I mean, not for inanimate objects up here. But you want to be very, very careful. Shine the light on everything you possibly can. Backpedaling is a tactic that you're probably well aware of. And then once you get up here, we're going to be facing that. Oh, I guess it is the deer head is on that crane. So that was a portent of our doom. So these are called poltergeists now. And what you want to be doing is really is trying to get that cinematic dodge going for yourself and just going back and forth here. But nightmare difficulty, so far as what I've seen, it's just you're not getting damaged in a huge amount. It really isn't that much at all. I think the main issue with nightmare difficulty is just the fact that it takes a lot more shining the light on the enemies, and that actually does make it quite hard. So we're making our way up here. So you might wonder, you know, if you do donate, where is the money going to? It's mostly going to, like the things it would immediately go to would be possibly a PS4. I'm trying to get a PS4, like most of the money for a PS4 for Christmas, so I can bring you guys Uncharted 4, as hopefully Uncharted 1 and 3. I just want to, I've got a vendetta for Uncharted 1, you guys. I cannot tell you how much I have a vendetta for that fucking game, but I want that game to go down, man. I want that game to go fucking down. Burn in hell and go down. And I want to be brutal, man. So much. And I can do it. I know I can do it. But it would go towards stuff like that. It would go to the RAM that I need for my computer so I can get fewer of these black screens. Well, I should say less of these black screens, because less is for metaphorical figures. Fewer is for actual figures. If you needed to know that, now you do. And knowing is half of the goddamn battle, right, you guys? So I told you I was going strong with that DMC4 guide, and I was. I finished that guide within like 5 days, man. And I no damaged Sanctus earlier tonight. And unfortunately, I failed a minigame on the Savior when you're supposed to do the punching match with him at the end, when you're supposed to buster his arms. So it was one of those things. I got an all-time score. Probably did it in the fastest time I've ever done it, and then I failed on the minigame. But that's how life works. So I decided to just put it as an extra feature. So by the time this video comes out, there's no way that I'll have reached the Sanctus part yet with the parceling out of all of the videos. So I will say that when we get to Sanctus on Mission 20, it will be a rather good fight that I had with him, with complete narration and everything. And then as a bonus feature, I will show you the no damage fight that I had with him, and it will be just a standard fight without any commentary. So we're in the tunnel now. The tunnel, and make sure you pick everything up. Tread pretty carefully over here and use those canisters to your advantage. But I really work hard on these videos, and I got a comment. Will there be time enough for this? Yeah, I think there will be time enough. I got a comment from someone named, I think his name is Drunk Lads or something, on the first video. And if he's watching, leave a comment, buddy. Because he left a comment on video 1 of Dante Must Die for the special edition. I think it was revision 5. And he just asked an honest to goodness question. He said, is this guy going to get deleted? You know, stop fucking around, Bick. He said it in a good way. Kind of a, you know, I'm getting kind of sick of this shit, but I'm still going to be polite, and I'm still going to maybe crack a little joke so you know that I'm joking. And I would have probably said the same type of thing if I was worried about a guide that I was watching and for which I needed help. And then I got a comment from him in video 10. So the guy, he went from being a doubter to a believer, and it was a beautiful thing. And if he didn't realize that, I realized it. So it was just, but anyway, it's that kind of thing that, yes, things do go through revisions, and I'm using the word revision as a euphemism for deletion, if you understand what I mean. It's a revision. It's not me deleting stuff. I'm revising stuff. But it is kind of revising it too, but it's definitely a euphemism. Fake laugh, Bick, you son of a bitch, shut up. We're going to open the gate there. It's going to be this guy here. Make sure you pick up the flare gun. But yeah, we had a conversion. We had a religious conversion on Bick Benedict Productions. A guy went from being a doubter to a believer. Never doubt Bick. But yeah, all jokes aside, you guys, I really work hard in these videos. I'm an honest guy, I would say. And, you know, sometimes I do say white lies and things like that, but those are the kind of lies that sometimes you say those to just kind of preserve your own being sometimes. Look at this shit ass. He's trying to hit the car. Well, such a well-made game, it really is. But I do have another project lined up. I don't think I will be doing the Devil May Cry 4 Virgil guide, just because I've been trying it and it looks It just looks inordinately difficult. But I've been trying it for like 4 hours now, trying to beat that part with Virgil, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, we're going to be making our way up here now. And I did want to say that the previous commentary that I had on here, I was extremely exhausted, as you could probably tell in my voice. Now I'm back in a little bit better of health. So once you pull this thing, we're going to jump down, face a bulldozer. But I have a pretty nifty trick by sitting around the corner, and we're just going to wait for the door to open. But this guide is completely finished now, and well, I'll discuss it in the final chapter, my overall impressions of the difficulty as they will pop up the achievements at the end. But for some reason my Steam overlay, it doesn't get recorded with Bandicam, so I'm not sure about that, but I do have a snapshot of the actual achievement and the time that I unlocked it. So anyway, so if you just stand around this corner here, you can wait until the gate opens, and you don't have to do any confrontations with that bulldozer. But there's going to be a lot of heavy hitters in this chapter, a lot of heavies, a lot of guys with like chainsaws and axes and things like that. So make sure that you save flare gun ammo, flares, and things like flashbangs, all of the really powerful tools to deal with these sections, because they're going to give you a whole surfeit and a plethora of items to use. But you just don't want to use them on the easier enemies, when there's going to be some heavies that you're going to have to face down the line. And it's nothing too bad. It's just that, you know, a heavy is a heavy, and they're going to take some doing to take down. So if you have the what are they called? The flashbangs and the flare gun ammo, you're going to be in really good shape. But this was a long project, one of the longer projects that I've ever covered. But I suppose in the grand scheme of things, it's about the same as your normal third-person shooter. It's probably about the same as Gears of War. Like Gears of War 2, maybe. Gears of War 3 was pretty long, too. But just push these over here. And I also wanted to say that if anyone was offended by my asking for donations in the previous video, you really are really not considering it from my point of view. And I realize that we have to consider things from all people's points of view. So I realize that if the people who are watching it just don't want to donate, things like that, they don't care to donate, they don't have the extra money. So I do appreciate that. And if I was watching a video and the person was talking about nothing but donations, I might be inclined to not like the video. I would be inclined to maybe leave the video in kind of a sad state, you know. So I do appreciate that, and I respect that. So I just wanted to say that it was just on that one video. And you know, if you can do your part, because you heard how tired I was at the beginning of this video, I go all out for these projects, you guys, and it's all for you. And I mean, it's for everybody, but when I'm making these, I'm thinking to myself, well, is this good enough for the, like, is this quality that I'm making, is it good enough for my audience? Because if it's not, then I'm just going to do it over, because I want high quality on this channel. I've always wanted that. So this is a pretty longish chapter now that I think about it. You wanna get off that searchlight and try to lure these guys in front of it if you possibly can, because then you can shine the light on them. Here's a guy with a chainsaw, two guys with chainsaws. So see how I put them right in front of the searchlight? They're at a bad angle when they spawn. So if you will permit me 1 second, I just want to make sure that this sound recorder is going. It looks like it is. So we're all good. And at this point, I think you can dispense with at least one flare gun round. But boy, this is an amazing game. I'm not saying that it's not. You know, when I say things like in some of the earlier videos that the game is boring, I just think that I really wish there was some kind of a minor combat system in this game. Maybe just a melee. I don't want anything like Batman or anything like that, because then that would change dynamically the game. Maybe just a punch. You know, when you're in trouble and you're backed into a corner, you run out of ammo. But, you know, maybe they did think about that and just didn't want that sort of action-oriented genre in their game. And I can understand that. Take a left right here. Push these barrels out of your way. And then we're going to be making our way. You just want to have a lot of stuff. Anytime you're going into a chapter like this where you know there's probably going to be some gauntlets coming up, probably some difficult guys, just make sure you have ample supplies. They're going to give you some flare gun ammo on the final encounter with the tornado, but it's still nice to have some to go in there with as well. So come up here. Here's a flare gun for you. Jump for joy. Actually, I wasn't jumping for joy. That was an accident. But we have some more revolver ammo. And this is kind of the problem that I was talking about, how, you know, even if they're not going to have the character be able to mantle over stuff, why not? Because you get into positions like that where I know I need to get into this cart, but so why can't I just mantle over it? Uncharted did a wonderful job of mantling, in my opinion. Like, it was a game that mantling wasn't the premier aspect of that game whatsoever, but they included it in the game. A lot of the things in that game are scalable. So I just think that I just feel kind of handicapped in this game by the things that I cannot do. But maybe that's the feeling they were trying to evoke. You know, it's a writer, a guy who lives his life in luxury, you know, spending a night in terror. And I think that's what they're going for, actually. But still, those little finer tuning things would go a long way, in my opinion. So when you come down here, there's a light source, and then when you go down the hill, there's going to be some replenishments for your ammunition. And then our next goal is to go up onto that dilapidated bridge. There's going to be, I think, 2 flocks of birds who fly at you. So you can use the flare gun on them if you like. You can try to get away with not using anything. As much as we're going to be fighting in this chapter, we are going to be fleeing too from a couple of sections. Because I remember this chapter. I remembered it. And I also wanted to mention, here's the first spawn. I also wanted to mention that 6.2, the next chapter, A Dark Place, Departure, A Dark Place, it's only going to be like 2 or 3 minutes, you guys. It's the epilogue to the game. Just like we had the prologue to the game, which was very short. I mean, see, there's a jump mechanic, but it's only for specific jumps. And it's not an auto jump or anything like that. Not like The Last of Us had an auto jump, which kicked in a couple of times, which is really weird. I think if you're going to have jumps, just let the player jump. Don't have the computer jump. I've always thought that was unnecessary and taking control from the player. But as of now, you know, this guide's down. Oh, watch out for the gunk on the ground. We're going to be lighting some flares up running past these guys because there's a light source inside that barn. So we'll get a free heal, we'll unspawn everybody, and we'll get a nice checkpoint. But this guide's down now. The Devil May Cry 4 guide is thankfully down too. And I don't know what's next. I was going to try to surprise everybody and maybe do a guide for Enslaved, but I picked it up on PC and the goddamn thing keeps crashing on me. Every time I Alt-Tab out, within like 10 or 15 seconds, it crashes. So, what are you supposed to do in a situation like that? Not ask for a refund? I asked for a refund, and they gave me back my money. It was a $20 purchase. You know, I felt bad, but I can't use this software. I mean, I didn't feel bad. I mean, I felt kind of irritated. Obviously, anybody would, but I feel bad because I've asked for an inordinate amount of refunds from Steam of late. Like, I haven't I haven't bought anything since Transformers. I mean, I don't constantly buy things and refund them, but I refund at a pretty high rate. You know, whether it's just because I'm dissatisfied with the game, I don't care for it, or because it's unstable, like a couple of these games I've purchased of late have been. No one likes an unstable game. You know, they're supposed to be stable in the first place. So if you'll let me get a drink of water here. Thank you for letting me get that drink of water. Oh, and we have a lovely black screen. I'm not going to miss these when I get my RAM updated or upgraded. It was actually the Sony Vegas forums that I went on to, and the guy said that the amount of RAM that I had for my system specs was just insufficient. So he said that it have at least 16 gigabytes of RAM. So I'm gonna top that and double it to 32. And my PC build is no more, you guys. I couldn't afford it. The motherboard that I bought had to have a 1151 CPU in it because that was the only socket that it could use. And those CPUs are so expensive. Like the one that I wanted was like $500 plus tax. That's almost $600. So I said, I'm just gonna sell everything that I've purchased and put it towards some bills. Not even to any luxuries. You know, maybe some new clothes, maybe some things that I need, some toiletries that I need, some food. You know, these people that come along on my videos, like they're so fucking self-entitled. You know, where's my guide? I want my guide. You know, why'd you delete it? It's just, fuck you, man. Why don't you make a guide and entertain us? Why don't you instruct us? It's just such self-righteous bastards. You know, here I am going out of my way to make a guide, and so what if it's deleted? I reserve the right to delete it. I mean, I could do nothing but make guides and do nothing but delete them if I want to, because that'd be my own prerogative. People wouldn't stick around too much, but if I wanted to, I could. And you might say, well, you're already doing that. And I'll say to that, no, I'm not. Why say that when this guy got finished? Alan Wake's finished. It was a very lengthy project. But come down here now, head to the right. Start the generator up. Sorry, on these videos I itch sometimes. It's just because I itch. And anytime I clear my throat or I like sniffle or I kind of go like that, I try to apologize for it because I do have a user named Hazardous Echo who said, fuck that pic, you're a human being, you know, do what you need to do as long as you're not vulgar and as long as you're not excessively profane. And that's a good guy right there. But speaking of bad guys, we've got a bunch of heavies here, you guys. This is what a situation like this is what flashbangs are for. This is what flare gun ammo is for. You know, this is what the things that you don't use normally, that's what this is for, because there's a ton of these guys and a flashbang will not take them down. You need to do a couple flashbangs, like a flashbang and a flare gun. And I think we also have a jogger running around here sprinting, so we'll have to take care of him at length. In fact, I think we're taking care of him right now. So we're gonna stave off the guy with the chainsaw. There's the jogger. It just takes like a million hits with the revolver. And I could have used the hunting rifle, but sometimes I think that the revolver is just as good. It might not pack the punch, but ammo is pretty plentiful for it, so I like to use it. And I didn't exactly remember what was lying ahead, but this is the last confrontation like this. There will be another confrontation where there's just a couple more guys, but the preponderance of the enemies is inanimate objects. And do you know why I said is? inanimate objects when you might think it was are inanimate objects, because the subject was preponderance. Preponderance is. You have to think of it like that, not preponderance are. So, I'm trying to give out some English lessons on these videos, you guys. I'm just kidding. When I talk, I like to talk properly. Okay, so come on over here now. Unfortunately, do we get a checkpoint? I don't think you get a checkpoint here. But you will in a second, so just stave off these guys. This is not what I meant about there being a couple more guys. That is going to come up in the next encounter. So is there a heavy here too? No. Just a couple of lightweights. So take them out. The elevator should be down by now. Or I should say the lift. It's not much of an elevator. And we'll take a very slow ride up here. And I think the inanimate objects are really hard in this game. Because they're hard to evade. They don't work like normal enemies. It's just you shine the light on them until they die. But of all the things in this game, they seem to take the most to take care of. So this will quickly become sort of a duck behind cover situation, because after you kill these two guys here, you want to focus on the inanimate objects, and the fastest way to do it, in all honesty, is to use the flares. So go up to them and just keep tossing those flares. It burns through the darkness much quicker than does the flashlight. And just watch out for flying objects. There's going to be barrels. There's just going to be a big pile of junk that you need to burn through over here. And unfortunately, there's no inching around it. You've got to take out that main boat because it's the thing that's blocking the path the most. So if you're worried about conserving for the final encounter, because the final encounter is coming up, you really don't need that much. I would try to have at least 5 lithium batteries left with this heavy flashlight lamp, because you're just going to need the flashlight for a little bit at first, and then you're just going to need to use the flare guns, which they give you for free. I don't know if they give you outright a flare gun. I think they do, but I know they give you flare gun ammunition. It really wouldn't make sense if they didn't give you a gun. But I think that I just think that they should demand that you bring one there, just because, like, how did you get to this point then? Because getting to this point, you kind of have to have a flare gun for some of those heavies. I mean, they just take too many of your resources off. Okay, so I thought I could mantle over that, but what the hell was I thinking? This is not a mantling game, as I've been stating. And then push your way forward here in a very slow way. And then there's the tornado in the distance. So we're going to get taunted a little bit. We're going to get a checkpoint, jumping for joy once again. So we have three batteries left. It's not that many, but once you jump down here, you're going to push forward. And disregard my tentativeness here, you guys. I was just trying to make sure that I didn't die, because I didn't want to put any excessive editing over here, and I didn't have to. So you'll see me just shining the light on different things to see if anything can be taken down, but all this is evading. We're not using the flashlight quite yet, not until we touch down and get that checkpoint. So the idea here is to just push forward and go into the heart of the tornado and fire off a flare into the heart of the tornado and quote-unquote kill it. But you're going to have to deal with a couple of inanimate objects at first. So what I would recommend is, use your flashbangs. Let's see, yeah, they give you a flare gun. They do give you a flare gun. So keep jumping forward over here. There's going to be some birds in a moment, but you just want to... It's simple. You just use the flare gun because the flare gun destroys the darkness and it deals damage. It does both. So that's going to be the end of episode 6.1. This has been Departure. I hope you cleared it, and the next chapter will be the final installment. So take care.